Ooh, Phase Hero! Episode number 35 starts right now. Welcome to the podcast where four friends yap about superheroes and movies and TV shows. And this is a chunky boy today. Oh my goodness, if this show was a cat, it'd be the one that eats all the other cats' food and then lays on your pillow at night in really uncomfortable ways because it's so chunky and it wunts to wear a Phase Hero hoodie, but we don't make them in cat sizes yet, but we will. But even then, it would need an XXXXXXXXL because it's that kind of chunky. Welcome to the show. I'm BD, joined today by Jenna Anderson.
Hey, everybody. I don't know how to follow that kind of like wrestling promo of that intro. That was fantastic.
Woo, we got Jamie Jurek.
Good morning. It's good to be back in LA.
Woo, we got Aaron Breen.
I want that cat's soul. I want that cat's soul.
Hey, Dwayne, I need you better stay in character, though. You better not break kayfabe in the press conference. I'm telling you right now. Welcome to today's show. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. So I want to make this real quick reminder. Starting Monday, we are on Mondays because we're going to do Tuesday night episodes of Daredevil, and I don't want the shows to step on each other. So on Mondays, 2 p.m. Eastern time, we will be live with our weekly Phase Hero episode. Tuesday night, 10:30, 10:35, around that time, Eastern time, we are live for the Daredevil Born Again premiere recap episode because they're dropping 2 episodes. I've seen them. We'll talk about Daredevil in a moment because the reactions are out. But also, let me say this. You cannot afford to miss our Daredevil recap episode. That's not just because the four of us are going to have fun talking about it. There is going to be something on that podcast. I haven't even told anybody. Just don't miss it, okay? There's going to be articles about this. And there has to be, unless somehow someone else got it. Just tune in to Phase Hero on Tuesday night. You will not be disappointed because it's going to be fun anyway. Today we're talking about the DC news. DC Studios had a big event. We're talking about Daredevil Born Again reactions, X-Men update, Spider-Man, Nova, The Punisher, Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. We got a Gambit movie update about the Gambit movie that never happened. James Bond was going on there, and we're going to talk some Star Wars. But that's a long intro. Jenna, what topic are you most excited about today?
The DC stuff, even like the Marvel shows that we now heard are put on the back burner because that is just a really interesting topic. Even like Aaron and I talked a little bit about the James Bond of it all. I'm very excited to talk about that. It is a chunky show.
Ooh, it's a chunky one. We got to get this thing on a treadmill because it needs to start shedding weight. Let's start dropping some LBs right now. DC had a big old week. So what happened was on Friday, DC invited a few folks to go sit down with Peter Safran and James Gunn for a full hour. I was fortunate enough to be one of those people. They emailed me. They said, can you come on Friday? I said, is it Zoom or is it in person? They said, it's in person. We're not paying for travel. And I was like, I don't care. I'm on my way. So walked on the Warner Brothers lot, got to sit down, hear about an update of the slate. Nothing crazy big news. Nothing that you'd announce at Comic-Con, but a lot of updates. And I have a long list of them, but while I pull up that list, Jenna, what stood out to you from this?
What stood out to me is just the feeling of transparency and how in this industry being able to be honest about certain things and clarify certain things, because I feel like this event seems like it was just in conjunction with, like, it's been 2 years since the initial slate announcement. We have a lot we need to talk about. But then on top of that, just the Batman of it all and all of these rumors and reports about certain things. It was really interesting to hear quotes from them directly of what even the trades maybe not necessarily had the full information on. So it was nice to hear that level of transparency, like you said, beyond just the Hall H big massive announcement kind of presentation.
Yeah, that was, I'd say, being in the room watching Peter and James talking comfortably, not really like mincing words, ribbing each other, kind of making fun of the people in the audience there too. Like they made a joke about Frosty from Collider and we all popped for it. It was it was a very comfortable experience, and it was just fun. And Frosty was there, by the way. It wasn't a joke that he didn't hear. It was like it was just they clearly were having a good time, feeling very comfortable, and that was one of my big takeaways. But I really loved the transparency, even about business. Like somebody said, "Are you going to focus less on characters that aren't popular if they don't succeed?" And James was like, "Well, yeah. I mean, if we plan Sergeant Rock 2 and people don't like Sergeant Rock 1, you might not get Sergeant Rock 2. So the big thing to kick it off was that their plans are 2 live action features and 1 animated feature each year, and 2 live action shows and 2 animated shows each year. The graphic I tweeted from Phase Hero was inaccurate. It's 2 animated shows. I accidentally put 1. So first of all, that's 7 titles a year. Jamie, how do you feel about 7 titles a year from DC?
Honestly, you know me. If it's good, I'll watch it all. I oversaturation doesn't affect my brain. It might affect your casual viewer, but also your casual viewer isn't watching like the animation stuff. Like I've talked about this a lot about like my mother. My mother loves the movies. She's not ever going to put on an animated television show. She's just not. And I'm guessing that you don't have to watch every single one of these things to get every single one of these things. It seems is my assumption. For some people it might be a lot. I don't know. Seven's not that huge of a number, and it's also like I only if it was 7 theatrical releases, I'd be like, okay, slow your roll. But for me, I'm like, just I'll take what I can get. I don't care.
I also have to say, I think it's 7 DC releases. It's not 7 DC universe releases. Like they're not all in the same universe. They don't all have to be, like to Jamie's point, even the ones that are in the DCU, you don't have to watch them all to enjoy them as individual things. But like this number includes the 3 younger skewing animated shows that they announced on Monday. It includes like My Adventures with Superman, maybe the Harley Quinn animated series. It includes Elseworlds movies. Like having 7 projects a year makes sense. Also, as someone who lived through the Arrowverse era, where a DC show was on every single night of the week, 7 feels conservative to a certain extent. But I think having this unified kind of production schedule, that is a very reasonable number.
I know Aaron has thoughts. Aaron's like chomping at the bit.
I see thoughts.
Okay. I mean, good. I'm glad we're doing My Adventures with Green Lantern. That's sick. Starfire show sounds great. 7, 7, 7, 7, 7. Right. You'll watch what you want, what you will. You won't what you won't. Things are plans until they're not. Like, okay.
Yeah. I think, and in that same meeting, James Gunn kept emphasizing their quality over quantity. And like you guys said, this is separate universes, maybe it's technically separate franchises within this franchise. I have trouble believing in the brains of audiences being able to constantly separate all these things. I really think we live in an echo chamber that everybody we talk to and interact with and could possibly ever find Phase Hero knows that Robert Pattinson is not going to be the Batman. And in this meeting, he said that is certainly not the plan. So I can finally put that theory to bed. But I don't think the average moviegoer, which is most people who go to the movies, is going to really keep up with this. I also don't think they're really going to care that much.
Exactly.
So I don't know that it matters.
Can we highlight Jay Jones's comment? That's what I'm hyped for.
Yeah.
You out here on the team, sir. Yes, it means podcast stability.
Yes.
Plenty to talk about. That is absolutely a fact. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, we're here for God, we're never escaping. Supergirl is midway through production. They said it's a beautiful, gritty sci-fi movie. Gritty for Supergirl. I find that interesting. It's also described as entirely in outer space. That's why we're not getting a first look at Lobo yet, because they're not worried about the streets of London sniping a photo like they were with Superman and all that stuff they shot in Cleveland. They're filming indoors, and it'll be a while before we see Lobo. I said, what does Lobo look like? And Peter Safran goes, he looks like Lobo. Okay.
Can I just say
BD?
No, Jamie, go ahead.
It felt like BD was going to say you're not going to see any pictures because they are filming in outer space. That's what it sounded like you were getting towards.
Can I just say the gritty qualifier is not surprising if you have read the Woman of Tomorrow comic. I will leave it at that. That is part of why I get why they picked this story to make a Supergirl movie with in the modern context, because there's a really interesting juxtaposition between the language that she uses, the violence of the story, and the costume and the gimmick of Supergirl. So that is unsurprising, and I'm glad to hear that they're fully going in that direction.
Yeah, and speaking of that direction, if you've read the Woman of Tomorrow comic, there are some storylines you're familiar with, and there is a storyline we're going to see play out as a bridge from Superman to Supergirl in the form of 4 seasonal shorts about Crypto, the terrible dog, as Peter Safran loved to keep describing him. There will be these are far enough along that James Gunn is already like watching them and enjoying them. So 4 seasonal shorts of Crypto are coming. No word on how long they are, but they're supposed to start releasing this fall, presumably on Max. A lot of good news there. Some bad news. The Authority backburnered. Probably. I mean, they didn't say it's not happening. My interpretation of it is like we're probably never going to see the Authority. This is in part because of the DC universe's overall story shifting a bit, and in part because it's hard to make something unique in a world where the Boys exists. That was the reasoning they gave. I don't think anybody's devastated, but that's a bummer. I thought that was going to be cool.
I was always very curious from the second that this project got announced how they were going to sell the mythos and the lore of the Authority to mainstream audiences, because to your point about being confused and trying to unpack a lot of stuff, it is heavy. There is a lot of lore that goes into that. I think we'll still see characters from the Authority and we'll still see storylines that would have been in that movie, but I don't blame them in the current climate and in the Boys and in the dark and gritty superhero landscape to kind of pivot back and just make stuff that's more hopeful and more just like main DC canon, because like that just makes sense to me.
They also said they wanted to spend more time with characters that they've now already filmed. So like to me, that is such a great sign. Characters that audiences are going to get familiar with and start enjoying. I think one of the things Marvel's struggling with right now is they threw all these characters out there so fast. It was more originals than it was sequels, and that's great. We need new characters, but it's been 4 freaking years since Shang-Chi. Where's my boy? So I think that maybe that's kind of what DC's feeling. Like people are going to like these characters. Let them respond and give them more of the characters they're responding to, and continue to pepper in new characters. But the Authority would have been very much an ensemble film.
Interestingly enough, you should just have the Authority be a Supernatural reunion too. Like they're doing for season 5. If you haven't seen the news, like they're putting Misha and Jared back together, and that's like if you've ever watched daytime television, you just cheered in your house or your car or whatever.
We got Misha in the comment section that says, "I'm curious about Paradise Lost too." I can tell you, they said Paradise Lost is still going. They're still making Paradise Lost. Booster Gold is still going. Waller facing setbacks. They said sounds like Waller might be one of those that might not be happening or might be longer than they originally planned, at least. But Paradise Lost is happening. They did say that one of the titles from that Gods and Monsters slate they considered making animated, and they haven't decided if they're going, or they didn't say whether they're going to or not. They didn't say which one it was. If I was guessing, that's Paradise Lost.
See, I thought that would have been the Authority, because I remember there were rumors and scuttlebutt, which again, as I said, a lot of the updates from this basically proved a lot of the rumor mill wrong. But I feel like that maybe might have made sense given the development for that. But Paradise Lost to me feels like a Game of Thrones level TV show. Like you need to put the money, put the budget into it, and I feel like they're still committed to doing that.
Yeah, I think Paradise Lost could be man, that'd be cool. Because given how well the Penguin did, and granted, I know that's the separate universe, Max makes bangers, man. Shows on Max are so good. So Paradise Lost on that like Max quality. Woo-wee! No word on Wonder Woman, but they did say the big 3 are very important. Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman are all big priorities. It is described as imperative to introduce a Batman to the DC universe. A Batman movie will come in October of 2027. A Batman movie. The Brave and the Bold has a writer. The Batman 2 does not have a script yet. What they've read is encouraging, but Peter Safran very deliberately, clearly said a Batman movie is coming in October of 2027. My tinfoil hat gets so tight, but I literally just said that James Gunn said that Robert Pattinson is certainly not the plan. But so I'm not going to, I will not sit here and say that The Brave and the Bold and The Batman 2 are the same movie. I won't do it, but if I did, that'd be crazy. But I won't do it. But
I don't think that's not where my brain jumped to. I also think, to Aaron's point, consistently with just all of these slates, with all of these things can change. I think I took Peter's quote, granted not hearing it myself, but just like hearing it, seeing it on the internet, as we've told you that at this point, but things could still change in the future. Like that is our plan right now, but it could change down the line. I also am still going to hold on to my World's Finest theory of like a Superman sequel with Batman elements in it. And so if that came out in October of 2027, that wouldn't be a bad thing at all.
Speaking of Superman sequels,
interesting to think about that, you know, because honestly, if you were taking the time, which, you know, the fans have been very vocal about how long it's taken to write the Batman 2, putting Superman into it would make you have to write it longer. That would probably make you have to adjust, but we don't know that, so we'll see. I think that
I see the tinfoil hat orders are in high demand.
Yeah, you know, well, that would be interesting. I mean, If your boss comes in and says, that's a nice Batman sequel you got going on there, I need you to have, listen.
If there was ever a boss who would do that, Max in the comment section saying from a corporate perspective, I figured it would be more operationally efficient for Reeves to merge with Gunn. It would be Daddy's ass.
Yeah.
But listen, James Gunn, he said it's certainly not the plan. Like, said it twice. He doubled down. He said it's certainly not the plan. Like, it's certainly not the plan. That's word for word what he said. Scott Autry said, I just want to see a live action Teen Titans film. Fan base is built in. Anna Nagara is currently writing a Teen Titans film. That news was already out there, but now it is confirmed. Clayface, definitely R-rated, body horror. Jamie, I know that one.
Yeah, I'm really disappointed that Mike Flanagan's not directing it. I mean, it's dope that he's writing it, but like, I am a little sad he's not directing it. I already forgot who's directing it. I'm sorry.
James Watkins.
Right. Great. I'm sure it'll be great. But it's also been confirmed that Alan Tudyk will not be playing him, which I'm also sad about. But they're gonna get the rated. I'm so hyped for this movie though. Like, Flanagan's gonna crush the script. I can't wait to see who they're gonna cast. But this is probably the thing I'm most excited about.
Hell yeah.
Just imagine the substance with Clayface. I think Jamie's excitement just overloaded to the point that her internet froze right there. Oh, God, that third act of the substance. My goodness. James Gunn is writing. He said, I'm writing and directing. I'm writing. Like, he kind of corrected himself. What sounds very much like a Superman sequel. And he also said his favorite project of the upcoming slate is one nobody knows about yet. So there's a lot of stuff they're doing behind the scenes. But it did sound like he's working on a sequel to Superman, or at least a continuation of Superman's story, because then Frosty at one point said, so you're not writing a Superman sequel? And James was like, I didn't say I'm not writing a Superman sequel. So he's clearly working on something that's going to continue Superman's journey. I think it's wise to not put the cart ahead of the horse. Mm-hmm. Let Superman come out. Don't announce a sequel before the movie comes out. And if you do, announce it the week of to show a sign of confidence. Don't do it in February. Well played. What else we got? Superman has screened for tests and stuff like that. They said they're probably going to do a couple of little bits of additional photography, like close-ups that they forgot to get and little tiny bits like that. But he said for the most part, they're in VFX and it's looking great. Peter Safran said Superman's a lifelong dream of a movie he's wanted to make since 1978. And teenager Peter Safran this is the movie he wanted. So there's a ton of stuff. Oh, Dynamic Duo is not set in the DC universe. Animated movie. It's an Elseworlds project. They're talking to Fortnite. The skins are coming to Fortnite. James Gunn has given notes on Fortnite. I asked that specifically. I also asked about Six Flags. I grew up there, Great Adventure. Yeah, I want those Creature Commando skins specifically in Fortnite, but I also want the Hot Toys figures. I want, Superman and all these, and Mr. Terrific and these characters we're about to get in the movie. Please take my money, Epic Games, you sons of guns. Six Flags also is having conversations with them. Peter wouldn't really talk about it. They were so funny because Peter would say shit like about Fortnite, and James was like, I thought we weren't saying that. And then I asked about Six Flags, and Peter was like, well, I don't know. And then like the Superman sequel, I think I asked something about that, or somebody did, and James was like, well, I don't know if we're supposed to talk about it. And I was like, Peter? And like, it was to the point that Peter was the Tom Holland of the group because he was just saying stuff. But it was great. They were funny together. But I would love to see some Six Flags stuff. Six Flags could use an update too.
There are videos online of the DC Six Flags attractions in other countries of like, there's a deceased zombie themed one. And like every other country is like leaps and bounds ahead of where the Six Flags are right now with DC stuff. And like having ridden Cosmic Rewind, having been to Avengers Campus, this is the time to make a DC Six Flags thing that is like more updated, more modern, and like use the movie stuff too.
Yep. I completely agree. I think the last DC ride Great Adventure got was a Dark Knight Rises, and it's terrible. It's indoor wild mouse coaster, and everything's broken on it. Sergeant Rock is a real thing. Luca Guadagnino is really doing it. Daniel Craig was never actually a part of it, it's described as a real war movie. Unsurprisingly, there. The animated Blue Beetle series is on the way. It's very close to being presented for a green light. Angel's directly involved with that, so that's good stuff. Peacemaker Season 2 described as very character-driven, more about Christopher Smith than Peacemaker. They are planning some sort of ensemble movie down the line. I'm running through these really quickly. If there's anything you guys want to talk about, let's do it, but I want to get to the Marvel Daredevil stuff too as well. They are planning some sort of ensemble movie. I said, are you planning like a Justice League, Justice Society? Is there something building towards in that regard? And the answer was, we're building. James picked at my question twice to try to dodge it, and I was like, James, Are we getting to? And he was like, we are telling a bigger story. It'll take some time. I think that's pretty much everything. I'm sure there's more. Creature Commandos season 2 being worked on now. We won't see the Creature Commandos other than Rick Flag before season 2, but we will see them after season 2 in other projects. Andy Muschietti might not be directing Brave and Bold. He might be. There's no official stance on that yet. They're waiting to get the script and the story to decide. And they're
Zack
open to
Snyder.
Oh, well, Jesus. Yeah. How could you forget Zack Snyder? I'm a Zack Snyder fan, but I'm tired of these conversations. Zack Snyder, James posted a photo with Zack Snyder the day before this event in Peter's office. And of course, the internet went nuts. Zack is not working on a DC project. Zack has not seen Superman. They were just hanging out as friends, and James was just like, hi, he said, I knew exactly what I was doing, or we knew exactly what we were doing. They said they were only talking as friends, and it was a few minutes long, and they said, let's take a picture. He said, I thought it was funny. He thought it was funny, and that was it. So no Zack Snyder revival at DC right now.
I just want to remind the internet that Zack Snyder's best film was written by James Gunn. I just it's just a fact. So yeah, they're pals. They worked together long before the DC business was going down. So
top tier trolling on their part, says Stamina from London. And Lanterns, 8 episodes, could be an ongoing series. Not necessarily will be, but entirely possible that it will be. I think that's all of it. There's probably a little bit more. Jenna and I both have videos about this. Highly recommend checking those out on our channels. Jenna's is 18 minutes long. It's her longest video. Yeah, she just told me that before we started the show. I haven't even had a chance to watch it yet, but I'm sure it's phenomenal because everything else Jenna does is fantastic. So highly recommend that. Anything else on the DC front before we move on from this?
The chat was mentioning it, and I knew we needed to talk about it. The studio that was making the Wonder Woman game, which was announced years ago at the Game Awards with a little teaser trailer, we hadn't gotten anything official for it since then. There were concept art that might have leaked or casting rumors that might have come out. The entire studio got shut down. People are now framing it as the game got canceled, but the entire studio is now just gone, which that sucks, but it feels like a thing that happens all too often just in the gaming industry in general. And again, it sucks that it happened with this game because I was definitely really looking forward to it. But I hope people understand it's not them hating Wonder Woman. It was just a business decision that happened to happen with Warner Brothers.
The video game industry hates Wonder Woman, confirmed. Jeez. All right, so that is our DC portion of the show. It's time to switch over to the Marvel side. Daredevil reactions are out there. And woo, are they positive. People are digging The Devil of Hell's Kitchen. Let's pull some up. Daredevil reactions. Let's share the screen. Let's see what we got. Variety. All right. I'm going to share the screen. Let's see what people said. This is in Variety's order. This is in no particular order. This is what people are saying about Daredevil Born Again. Share. Oh, wait. We don't want that. We want... Come on, screen. Get back up there. There it is. All right. Daredevil reactions are in, and you can't see me, but that's okay, whatever. They said, people are saying, Liam Crowley praised the show on X, writing Daredevil Born Again has the best pilot of any MCU series thus far, and it's not close. Edge of seat energy with audible gasps throughout. Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio haven't lost a step. Benson and Moorhead bringing the sauce. Above all else, it's episodic. We might be back. Sean O'Connell from Cinema Blend. Holy Hell's Kitchen. Daredevil Born Again opens with a lengthy, devastating sequence that screams, this is just as brutal as Netflix. From there, the 2 episodes lay out a layered story about cops, vigilantes, and guilt. I'm like, I want to read these in Kingpin's voice. Eric Davis said, among the strongest starts for our Marvel Studios TV show to date, in my opinion. The first 2 episodes are terrific, setting up a story that is part court procedural and part all-out brawling. There's a fight in episode 1 that is all done in one shot with a wild ending, really kicks off the series in a memorable way. So clearly, a lot of good stuff here. What else we got? Any other tweets? Rachel Leishman, hey Rachel, said Daredevil Born Again brings my boy back to me. The fight sequences are just as violent as the original show and play with Matt's morality in such a poignant and beautiful way. Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio step effortlessly back into their rivalry. I love having my devil back. If someone else was supposed to read these, I'm sorry. I didn't look at the document. I just started.
No, it's all you.
And then let's read one more. The show recaptures what made the original series so special, but also takes it in a different direction. The tone and grit is authentic to the original show, and the writing never feels too dissimilar. The action feels sharper and better than the Netflix series. I'll disagree with that so far. But all right. I've seen the first two. Really just good. Like, I mean, really good stuff. This is it. If you haven't seen the Netflix show, you're probably going to be a little bit lost. So when we do our recaps, we're going to make a point to fill in the blanks and say, yes, this is a reference to the Daredevil show. This is what you might have missed in the context of that scene, but I do recommend watching the Daredevil show.
I want to say, everyone knows that I stopped watching Daredevil halfway through season 2 when it originally aired, and I never finished it. I finally just finished season 2, and like, it rocked. It did. I was finally like, all right, I get it now. So that, of course, got me more hyped, and now I'm like so now before Tuesday, I want to watch the Defenders as well. So I'm going to do Defenders, and I'm going to do Daredevil season 3, and like, it was lower on my list. It's climbing up there now. I'm finally in the realm, in the zone, which is a fun place to be because I don't like being on the outside of the fun zone.
I will say when I spoke to just people at the junket, I was like, everybody agrees it's hard to judge these shows off 2 episodes now. It probably always was, but we're now realizing it because we've had Secret Invasions, we've had different things that are better than their premiere and things that are worse than their premiere, and so that was a talking point for a lot of people when we were all catching up at the junket. They're sending the full season to some people, so that to me is a good sign. They did that with Spider-Man. Not only does that make our lives easier, like people who cover this stuff, who create content, host show, whatever, but it is I take that as it's a good. House of the Dragon sends full seasons, man. A lot of these shows that are super spoilery are sending full batches. The Last of Us sent the full season, so I think it's just helpful. I'm really glad they're doing that. It is awesome, and I'm like, that's a sign of confidence. Is it actually? I don't know. Does that mean if they don't send the full season for Ironheart's bad? I don't know, but I appreciate that they're doing that. Aaron, you look like you got some thoughts. I see.
I don't have anything to add. We're gonna get it through this together. Like if you're in the corner of like where I am, I'm already drafting my Thunderbolts apology letter. That's where I'm at. I'm already drafting it. Like, yo, my bad. Yo, I was writing this on a cocktail napkin in Ohio. That's my fault.
Well, what this means is that like when the review embargo lifts, it could be a review of the full season and not just the premiere. And that's huge. Hopefully please, people, don't spoil it.
I feel like one spoiler hasn't been said, but has been inferred so much, even from like quotes from this junket, that like, yeah, it's already hard enough being on the internet, and the show's still like a week away. So it's interesting. Yeah.
If you don't watch Daredevil immediately, get off. Don't. Just put your phone down. If you're touching grass, keep touching it until you watch it. Don't look at your phone when these episodes release.
I canceled a tattoo because I didn't realize I scheduled it at the premiere day, and I was like, I'm sorry, I got a podcast. I gotta watch a show.
You'll be glad you do. I really like these episodes. I do. I think the action is pretty damn cool. Some of the VFX are just okay. Like I feel like that's unsurprising, but the stakes, the kingpin of it all, like it just feels like they picked up. They didn't pick up where they left off. Time has passed and things have changed, but it has that same energy of the original show. We got a super chat. Dancing Dog 60. I just want to say that I think you folks are terrific. Oh, always positive, always funny. You all are the Fantastic Four of YouTube genre coverage. Oh, thank you. Say it again. Yeah, thank you so much. We have a great community here on Phase Hero. Dancing Dog, you are the best Dancing Dog 60 I've ever seen. All right, so let me pull up that's the reason I just rolled right into this, was because I switched over to the DC document. I have 16 pages of DC notes on a Google Doc from that thing. But I did talk to Brad Winderbaum. That's an interview that's available now on my YouTube channel. And I got a couple updates. These aren't about Daredevil. We're just going to play the clip.
I don't think I could take you.
Wait. I think me and you are about to have our first on-camera fight.
Oh, man. I don't think I could take you.
I saw the Nova news.
Oh.
What happened? What is Nova actually paused? Can we just get this out of the way?
So, you know, as you know, we've talked about it before. We're developing more than we make.
Mm-hmm.
We are, you know, it's a traditional television model, but we're Marvel, so there's more of a spotlight on us. Nova's certainly the favorite character of mine as well. And there's so many variables, you know, when we develop something, the material might be really great, but the timing might be wrong. So, you know, as we figure out what we're going to greenlight, you know, certain things may have to go on pause from time to time. Doesn't mean they'll ever get made. But we are, you know, we're only going to make things we feel like are ready and can go on for multiple seasons.
Yeah. So that doesn't mean necessarily it's dead forever. It could maybe someday.
Exactly. Keep the faith.
All right. No, come on, bring it.
For the audio listener, BD just like fake sobbed the entire time that clip played. You looked like in the clip like you were about to start crying as he's telling you that. Oh my God.
Why?
Should we also say what the news is? Because we didn't actually talk about it because it happened after last week's episode. While BD has a mental breakdown. Development is paused on Nova, A Strange Academy series, and Terror Inc., which is kind of wild. We had not heard really any rumors or any reports about that. I have a video breaking down what the three of those would have been. But yeah, I know BD is in mourning.
I really respect Brad's like the idea of like, this is a normal television model, but we're Marvel. And I think that that's like an important thing to remember. Like this is just par for the course. This is how TV works. But it is sad that it means that BD's dream project is we'll just say on hold.
Yes.
We won't say dead, not dead, just in the distance.
It's so funny because we had like a large conversation in the group chat when this happened, and poor Brandon was like actually doing work, running around.
Yeah.
So he did not respond for like six hours. We were about to perform a wellness check on BD because we didn't know where he was. I'm like, what happened to my guy? Is he okay? This is something, since he's going through it, yes. This is where the BD heel turn happens. This is where the BD heel turn happens. He becomes broken BD, Brandon Davis. This is go.
This feels like a personal attack. This feels like we've done too many nice things in the MCU for BD. We've been too good to face hero. We gotta stop it now. Now, if when me and Paul Walter Hauser get in the ring, I expect Brad Winterbaum's going to be as Paul Heyman. Come July. Oh. I mean, listen, I'm not surprised given the shift of just everything that Marvel TV under Disney's new leadership. I don't think Nova is necessarily a project that makes sense as a multiple season show, given how expensive it would be. I don't think we're ever going to see She-Hulk season 2 because it's too fucking expensive. And I don't think the return is going to be there to make it in a VFX character as the main character. I don't think going to space is going to work right now. As far out as we go on Marvel TV stuff right now, Ironheart and then the unfilmed Vision Quest in terms of live action. Usually we're like, oh, we know the next 16 titles. I think they're thinning out and the choices. We're not getting 5 live action shows a year anymore, and I understand Nova didn't get that, and that is because my boy is a movie star. Okay, he's gonna get a trilogy, and next time I interview Kevin, that's gonna be the good news. No, I'm just but it sucks, but it is what it is.
Can we also acknowledge Secret Wars is a couple years away? So like I understand for the plot like significance of needing to shift towards that story why these 3 projects are not immediately in focus right now, because like I could see any of them possibly being redeveloped after we get to Secret Wars and after we have whatever the universe looks like then. But like I agree with you, it doesn't make sense necessarily to focus on that right now. Also, you forgot Wonder Man in the shows that we know are coming up.
Is that oh yeah, that's a show, right? It's not a for some reason I thought that was a special presentation.
Nope.
So Ironheart, Wonder Man, and then Vision Quest sometime next year, presumably.
And then Daredevil season 2.
And Daredevil's okay, so it's actually not as thin as I just made it sound. Thank you for correcting me. One other thing we're not going to see though on Disney Plus is Spider-Man. It's like Spider-Man allowed to show up on Disney Plus in live action?
I'm not sure exactly what the rules are, but I
Yeah.
think they have like long form television rights. That's
Oh, okay. That's what I figured. I was
pretty
like, I don't
sure,
know if that means he can show
We
up.
can do like 30-minute animation, I think.
This doesn't surprise anybody, I don't think.
Nope.
But yeah, so not really too much to say there. What else we got? X-Men update. Brad told Liam Crowley at Screen Rant, I think anybody could say anything online and it hits the rumor mill and people get excited right now. We are still working on X-Men 97 season 2. It's coming together amazingly and the scripts for season 3 are insane. That is certainly scratching the X-Men itch for me on television, and there is an X-Men feature in development right now. So that is the focus of X-Men currently. So that confirms the X-Men movie that we've heard, reports and rumors about for a while now. Brandon Moore, thank you so much. $10 because Marvel finally gave BD Avengers Tower, but they took away his Nova. Yeah. No, it's hard out here. It's hard out here. The Punisher's getting a special presentation. There's a lot coming out of this Daredevil thing. We haven't even got to the fact that Electric State is doing press. Punisher's getting a special presentation. Chris Killian broke the news, and then EW added to it. So a special presentation. This is going to follow Daredevil Born Again. Brad Winderbaum described it as a shotgun blast of a story, but also has all the pathos and emotion that you want out of a Frank Castle story. It's so exciting. And John Bernthal's co-writing that. I love John's dedication to Punisher. I feel like they cast a few in these Netflix shows that really love these characters. There's a couple that seem to not really care. But there's, I think, for the most part, like John, Charlie, Vincent, I think Kristen Ritter loves Jessica Jones. Like, these people freaking love these characters and like think about them the same way Tom Hiddleston does with Loki. Like the people who really care about the character and think how they think and stuff like that.
Do we know, or if this means special presentation like Echo, like a series, or like Werewolf by Night and Guardians of the Galaxy, where it's like a special like thing? Do we?
I think it's like Werewolf by Night because the spotlight was the Echo and Wonder Man label. Special presentation means just like the 45-minute, hour-long thing, which like that's my biggest takeaway out of this is that we remembered that those exist and we're making more because they told us we were hypothetically going to get more, and then we haven't had any since the holiday special. So
yeah.
Coming in April 2027, Punisher Easter.
Punisher the Easter special. All right, let's get it moving to the big titles here. The big titles. Avengers.
Ooh, Avengers, Doomsday, and Secret Wars. We've got some chatter. Joe Russo talked to Deadline. He said, it's all in London. We're shooting them fairly back to back. It's a lot of work again. We may or may not survive. We'll see. But we're very excited about it. We found a way into the story that we think is going to be challenging for audiences. It's challenging for us to execute. And it's really exciting for us. It gets us out of bed to do it. I think that's, interesting. I don't think that they would come back if they weren't excited about what they were doing, right?
I'm just glad to hear that it's mostly back to back, like, because I remember we talked about it on the show a couple weeks ago of like the rumors of how the production was going to work. And it sounded like Secret Wars was going to wait until after Doomsday had already come out. So I'm hoping that's not the case and that these movies, just purely for logistics, if it makes more sense to shoot them back to back, just do it.
Yeah, I like this quote though, to be honest with you, but beyond just the production side of it, I like this. It's going to challenge audiences. Obviously it's gonna be challenging to execute, but I think the idea of it challenging audiences and flipping the script in a way, like I saw somebody say like, guys, this means Doom's the main character. Like he's the protagonist of the story. And I'm like, well, I mean, he kind of has to be, right? In a way that Thanos was, but what
the movie's called Doomsday.
But it's Avengers Doomsday. But yeah, I mean,
there is a way you could have it be an Avengers movie and have it be the main character.
What?
I mean, if he's leaving an evil team of Avengers, it could be Avengers.
Yeah.
Doomsday.
Yeah.
Eric's always like one step ahead of all of us in a way that's like, Aaron, you gotta explain yourself because your
like,
brain is bigger than ours.
They are the Avengers. They look just like them. Q, Tom Holland. Thank you versus Steve.
Can't wait for someone to clip that when you are proven to be very correct in a year's time.
I mean, bring it on. Bring it on. I don't want any of the other stuff I've said on this podcast to be correct. Just that. Just put that stuff. Don't put the 8 million times I'm wrong.
Wow.
They also he was also asked about will X-Men or Deadpool appear, and he said, "Who knows? I don't know. I don't know who we're going to see. I still don't know. Anybody in the Marvel bag could show up in this movie." Yeah, I'm sure he doesn't know. Okay. I go ahead.
I'm starting to wonder if like there's still some deals trying to get finalized and stuff, because Chris Pratt has very, very loudly not talked about Avengers movies on the Electric State press tour, which Electric State just had its premiere on Monday night. It's a Russo Brothers movie. Chris Pratt stars in it. And I mean, there's now the viral clip of Chris Pratt's publicist essentially like pushing him out of an interview so that he doesn't answer an Avengers question. Watching it back, I think also maybe they were just out of time in the interview. And no matter what the question was, he was getting, moved to the next one. But that said, he was on Jimmy Kimmel and he was just like, Jimmy Kimmel was like, "Hey man, are you doing it?" And Chris Pratt was like, "Yeah, Guardians Volume 3 said the legendary Star-Lord will return. We will make good on that promise somewhere." So he was like, I'm starting to, I don't know. Well, to me, that's like, okay, maybe Chris Pratt hasn't signed a deal yet and he's just trying to get more money. Maybe they're just genuinely not saying anything. Who knows with this stuff? But I expect everybody from the X-Men to the Guardians who are willing, then, it's not Dave Bautista and everyone else to be a part of this. But then especially more so in Secret Wars. Doomsday might be a smaller team, and then Secret Wars might be like the freaking splash page. So
I've joked about it. I want an entire documentary just about the logistics of all of these deals and who gets billing in what order for Secret Wars in particular, because the with Chris Pratt title for Infinity War was already enough of an interesting thing. And just looking at that poster and all of the names on it, this is going to be insane. I do not envy every publicist, agent, person who is doing all of these deals right now.
What if Doomsday is just entirely in a different universe?
I mean, that's one way to do it.
Maybe
that's one way to do it. I was gonna say, if you think Triple H has a hard time booking WrestleMania, imagine being Kevin Feige and having to assuade some of these egos, where Robert eats first. Sorry, guys, you're down the pecking order. You know what I mean? That sounds hard.
You only get lunch if Robert says you get lunch.
There you go.
Anyway, yeah, and it's also confirmed to start filming in April, which I don't know. I love this. I love Avengers talk. I can't wait to start hearing updates about this. I think it's obvious. Everybody's going to be in Secret Wars. Everybody who's willing to, as an actor, they're going to write them into it. And I'm excited to see the MCU finally start tying this multiverse saga together in meaningful ways. I'm very excited for that. One thing I'm excited for is the thing that never happened.
Yeah, so Lizzie Kaplan talked to Business Insider, and she revealed some surprising details about Channing Tatum's Gambit movie, which got scrapped. It was at Fox, and then when Disney bought Fox, it kind of got lost in the fray. Obviously, we got Channing back in the way that we did, but she said, "We got down the road. We were going to shoot it. I think there was a start date. I had meetings with Channing, and there were a couple different. We had a director, then we didn't. But I had multiple meetings with Channing and the other producers. They wanted to do a 30s kind of screwball romantic comedy set in that world, which would have been really fun." I am in mourning because as a screwball comedy fan, I know Jamie is also losing her mind over there. I think that would have been delightful. I don't know if Lizzie was going to play Rogue or Belladonna or whatever character, but having that be the lens through which this movie, with the other quotes that we've already heard, this would have been awesome. This would have been so much fun.
First of all, I didn't even know Lizzie Kaplan was going to be in this movie. Truly, because she is in one of those Marvel one shots that they released forever ago, and so I think that's really funny. And the screwball comedy thing, if you guys want some really good reviews on screwball comedies, follow Jenna on Letterboxd. It's screwball comedies are it's truly one of the best era of filmmaking, and there were so many of them. And the idea that they even would want to touch that genre with Gambit is really funny. We know that Channing Tatum is freaking funny, and that would have been great. And Lizzie Kaplan too. I mean, come on, she's fantastic. So it's sad, but I'm also we got him. We got him. Maybe Lizzie can do something else down the line. Who knows?
I still go back to the fact that I think Deadpool and Wolverine introduced so many interesting characters, or revived so many interesting characters at a time where you just can't slot them in because Doomsday and Secret Wars are coming. Maybe I still am of the belief there's no way Secret Wars comes out in May of 2027. So maybe there's a version of this where Gambit gets a movie with Channing Tatum in 2026 or 2027. and Secret Wars gets pushed to May 2028. I should have said. So I don't know, but this movie sounds like a lot of fun. I'm glad we got Channing as Gambit though, at all. On a
topic we don't talk about that much is James Bond. James Bond, it looks like, might be fully sold to Amazon. The deal still needs regulatory approval in the US and UK, which won't arrive until later this year. But this is the thing about this that is huge is like Barbara Broccoli has been attached to this movie. Her father, I believe Albert, like the Broccoli family has been involved with the Bonds, I believe, since the beginning, since Dr. No was released in the 60s. And so to give up the family, to give that up, I don't know what this could mean, because Bond has had its ups and downs for the last 60 years or whatever, and they crushed it a lot of the times with Craig, but it wasn't not all of those movies are good. But the thing to me that I've been thinking about since they said this, I remember when Daniel Craig left, Barbara was getting asked constantly, like, who will be the next Bond, whatever, and I remember she said something along the lines of like, Bond could absolutely be like a person of color, but Bond is never going to be a woman. Because if you're going to make a woman, do a different thing. Like, they made Lashana Lynch a 007, but she's still not James Bond. And I'm like, I'll be curious to see where Amazon takes this route. Like, will they stick with that? Will they open up with the concept of what James Bond can be? I doubt it. But I don't know if this is good news or not. I can't. Do you have an opinion on whether or not this is good? I don't know.
You like, even your optimism, I'm kind of in awe of, because my first thought was I'm worried about just getting spin-offs and prequels and sequels and all of these things that kind of just dilute the specialness of the franchise. Like, you can have your qualms, and I definitely do, with just like the way that the franchise has been run, but I think part of what has made it so special is, like, good and bad, it is an event. Like, going to those movies is an event, and I don't want us to lose that because we have like a Moneypenny spin-off and all of these other things on Amazon that just kind of like make it into something else. Also, because Amazon already has so many spy franchises and like spy-like franchises as they are, it just feels weird if like that is then the thing that they double down on. I want to hear Aaron's thoughts though, because like I said, we've talked about this a little bit and it's crazy.
I mean, they already made that weird reality show, so there's no bounds which they will not go in spinning off James Bond. I also am of the opinion that this could get a little bit squirrely. I've still never met more than 2 people in real life that have ever seen Citadel, but apparently everyone's seen it. Like, it's like one of these like Red Notice situations where I'm like, how has this many people seen this? And I've never talked to a single person who's ever mentioned it to me ever. But that's just, that's just how social media works. I am kind of sad too, because one of the funnier things about the Broccoli family is Barbara just burying Amazon at every single turn that she was presented opportunity. She came up there and she kicked the ball as hard as she could. So we lose that as well. I also don't know how quick it is to make a James Bond movie. Like, does anybody know? Like, what's going on? Anything? They don't have no actors in mind from what I understood of the processes. Like, so it's like, it feels like the company bought the license to make these and bought the rights so that they could speed up the process, because the Broccoli family is notoriously picky about what they want to do with the character. And speeding up the process can be both good and bad. And judging by some of the other spy content that's come out of Amazon, I wouldn't be feeling great about that.
Is anyone else? I'm so stressed about who could play Bond. It's been 20 years since we've gone through this, right? Like, literally.
Wow.
And the idea, like, I know that like Aaron Taylor Johnson's name has been put around. I do not want him as Bond. I think he's a great actor. I absolutely don't see him as Bond at all. And like, so that, like, just the whole thing is like, just tell me. Like, I don't know how I feel about this corporation BS, but at least maybe it means I'll have my answer soon, because it's been stressing me out for like 3 years.
Well, and to talk about like just the point of the creative part of it, like Variety had a whole report about this, and they basically said Christopher Nolan almost directed a Bond movie after Tenet, but after hearing that the Broccoli's would not give him like final cut and full creative control, he then made Oppenheimer instead. So we know how that turned out, but like I mourn what that movie could have been like. Even like I forgot Steven Spielberg wanted to make a Bond movie after like he made Close Encounters back in the 90s, and the Broccoli family was like, "You're too unexperienced. Like we don't want you to make a Bond movie." So it could be a good thing. It could be a bad thing.
I want Owen Wilson to play James Bond.
Oh my Lord.
Wow. The James Bond casting. I mean, how do you even start?
Mhm.
But yeah, I am not as in tune with Amazon's titles too. I just know it. Like, I think that was a perfect point. Everybody apparently watches Citadel, but no one I know watches Citadel,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
interesting.
I don't even know what that is.
The Russo project. It's a Russo's project, and they got like
It has like
Sorry,
3
Russo.
spin-offs.
yeah, they got spin-offs all around the world already. But yeah, they're about to do Citadel Mars, I think. Yeah. But yeah, no, in the Bond conversation, how do you even start casting Bond? I don't know. I mean, James, yeah, I don't know. Interesting news though. But there's one last topic we got to talk about today that has been really talked about. No, I don't know if it's true. But
Yeah, the Star Wars time. Oh, the Star Wars. It said that Kathleen Kennedy is reportedly rumored to maybe be exiting Lucasfilm at the end of the year, and my feelings on this are like Kathleen Kennedy has given us so much, and she has haters because in a way that I can't comprehend. Because if you go look at her producer credits, they go so far back. She has helped given us so much, like we're talking decades and decades and decades. And because like the final stretch of her career released some Disney Star Wars movies that like a tiny bit of the corner of the internet hate, like she has this hatred, but she is one of the most prolific women in Hollywood history. And if she wants to retire, yeah, she let her retire. I don't know. I think that she's given us a lot, and I think an interesting question is who would take her job. And I think there are a lot of I think it would be Filoni. What do you guys think?
I am not a Kathleen Kennedy hater, but I do think the Star Wars brand has been pretty significantly mismanaged, and I don't think I think that's undeniable. I don't say that to blame Kathleen Kennedy for it entirely, but she's leading the ship.
I would like to say though, a lot of that problem that you're talking about is the Disney Plus problem. Truly,
that trilogy needed some direction. Whether you love The Last Jedi, which I don't, or you hate it, which I also really don't, but I definitely don't love it. That trilogy needed direction, and that was like the most important trilogy in the past couple decades for the movies. Really, no? Is this?
I mean, I agree with you, but I also think, to Jamie's point, there are so many other circumstances that led to that, and even led to the Disney Plus era of it all. I still hold out that like Rise of Skywalker had to meet the release date that it did, and in a way, I'm thankful that it did because COVID was right around the corner. But it feels like in a way, to Jamie's point, her job has been kind of thankless, and good and bad. People really kind of do just focus on the bad, so I don't blame her for wanting to retire and maybe kind of step away. But it is just an interesting situation. I feel like it might be Dave Filoni. That feels like an easy bet. I have complicated feelings about that because I just hope it doesn't just further double down on nostalgia and doesn't let us take risk with projects. Jamie is nodding, so she definitely agrees.
And I think you make a good point, by the way. I think we live in a "what have you done for me lately" world, and Kathleen Kennedy's resume overall is freaking incredible. I mean, it's undeniably far more greatness than it is misses.
Yeah.
But
I think it's also worth pointing out, I think that when, a big problem, I love the sequels, I truly, but a big problem was who was going to direct the third movie and bringing it back to JJ. Remember that the original trilogy, each film was directed by a different person. That's an important thing to know. And then when George Lucas did the prequels, we're all prequel babies. My whole 2025 is dedicated to the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith. But you can't ignore the fact that those movies were panned when they were in theaters. They were. And just like the prequels, the sequels, they all made a fuck ton of money. And Kathleen Kennedy, she's made a lot of money for them. And sometimes that's what it sadly comes down to. But I do want to say I agree with Jenna that Filoni concerns me as a name, but he does seem like the obvious choice.
Go ahead. Obviously, if Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau together.
I feel like Jon Favreau wants to do his own thing, though. He might still be involved, but I can't see him taking the Peter Safran kind of role if we're using James and Peter as kind of a blueprint here. I feel like he just still wants to be able to make his own movies and do his chef stuff and be Happy Hogan and not necessarily be tied down to this the way that he probably would be.
Everybody says that until they hear that beep of that big Brinks truck. You put on the hat, and then you put on a hat. I think a lot of the Kathleen Kennedy discussion is overwritten because there is a level of almost magical thinking about how movies get made. They act like she's over their shoulders, like making them do stuff, and that's not really what goes on. I will agree with Brandon's point. It does seem like they were kind of getting it off the ground, like for the sequel trilogy, which I enjoy. I have more of an affinity for than probably all of the stuff because I'm a prequel child and remember what's it called? I forget what the site was called where they were just dunking on the prequels constantly. That was like the nerd personality when we were children. Like that site and movie criticism of that era was brutal, those movies, which makes it super amazingly strange to live in a world where Sith's anniversary is this huge deal and you see so much positivity and excitement around it, which is nice. But I'm like, this wasn't going on in the early 2000s. Where do y'all come from? It's like that thing of like, who are all of you? Why are you here? Why are you in my house? So I think we probably are headed to Filoni and someone else leading that division. I'm old enough to remember when people were like, give it to Feige, and the same people who said that are now like, he needs to be figure out how to be as involved as possible in Marvel. So that's not a thing.
People are still saying it was Star Wars. Like people are like, Feige is a name that people have thrown around somewhat unofficially, which is just wild.
That's crazy.
That's too much power for one man to have.
Listen,
well, he would
Give it to Bryce Dallas Howard. That's who I want to have.
Wow. Hey, yo.
I mean, look, Bryce Dallas Howard's a hell of a director, but taking over a studio?
Yeah, I don't know if she can do that. I truly don't know. But she should
They almost did it with, what was it, Todd Phillips? Zaz almost did it with Todd Phillips.
But that's a different situation.
Oh, yeah, no, I say give Lucasfilm to Todd Phillips.
Jesus.
I just
I'm
wanted to
walk
see what
right
Jamie...
into the ocean.
As the only person on this panel who has seen Joker 2, no.
Jamie gonna walk into the ocean.
I just had to see Jamie's thoughts. I just had to see
done.
Jamie's thoughts.
I'm
Yeah. I think the Filoni's the only name right now that you could bring to mind that's like, oh, that's like a name that makes sense coming to mind.
Oh, man.
Also, I say that the Star Wars brand has been mismanaged. There's been some bangers too. Like I'll correct myself on that. Mandalorian came along. Ahsoka, I really enjoy. Boba Fett.
We just all gave Skeleton Crew a 9.
Skeleton Crew was good.
We collectively loved Skeleton Crew. And let's
Yeah.
just say, this is the perfect segue. The Andor trailer, season 2 just dropped, and it looks incredible. Season 1 of Andor is incredible. I put that in my top 3 most anticipated of the year. I'm sorry, I'm excited for Daredevil, but I can't wait for it to end because when it ends, it means it's Andor time.
Oh, wow.
Andor season 1 is really damn good. Andor season 1 is really freaking good. I like the release strategy they're doing for Andor. It's correct me if I'm wrong. It's 3 episodes per week for 4 weeks, and each week is like a year, and it's going to cover 4 years, the whole show.
Okay.
Is that what I saw?
I didn't hear what you said. I'm sorry. I blacked out.
Andor is releasing the episodes, 3 episodes per week, I believe. I'm pulling this up now to double
That's what
check.
they did the first time, didn't they? Or they did the first week.
They did the first 3, and then it was weekly, which then people were like, if they were just released in the chunks of the story arcs that we got, then they might have been even better received than they already were.
The final season will unfold over 12 episodes broken down into 4 chapters of 3 episodes each. The first chapter will premiere on April 22nd, with subsequent chapters debuting each week. So I think that's cool. I mean, that's like probably an hour and a half, maybe 2.5 hours of Andor each week for 4 weeks. I'm
really hoping we get in a panel and get a screening in Japan of at least the first episode. Like,
hey everybody,
please.
Jamie's going to Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah, that's right.
What did you
That's
know?
the new thing.
Did you know
That Jamie went to D23? I
would never go to D23 again if it meant I could keep going to Star Wars Celebration. That's just my truth.
Did I tell you guys I saw Bob Iger at the Captain America premiere?
you told, I think, me this, but you didn't tell the collective and also the audience.
Yeah, well, that's all right. I talked to Bob Iger at the Captain premiere. He remembered talking to us.
Oh, he did?
Yeah. And he was like, that was really generous of me.
Which, like, I told that to my fiance, and he was like, "That sounds like that's something like Mr. Burns would say." Of like, "Oh, that was so nice of me that I did that." Like, I love knowing that is how he goes about the world. I get it; it was like 30 seconds of his time, but it's hilarious. Aaron is broken. Jamie is broken. I've been sitting with this for like a week and a half. I love that y'all get to experience this now.
Oh.
It was I popped. I laughed a little bit. All right. That's the Daredevil premiere, by the way, was in the Robert Iger building, and I was like, the chapel that Mickey built. But yeah, no, it's that dude. We'll see what his changes to Disney make in the post Chapek era. Given we've just talked about Disney Plus and Star Wars, and we've talked about the amount of content we're supposed to get and the quality of content we should be getting. It'll be interesting to see how these next couple of years. I think this is a big, like, these studios are just massive ships, and a lot of them are currently trying to change the direction of those giant fucking boats. But we'll see. That is our show for today. Jenna, any last words for today's podcast?
It's at Hey It's Jenna Lynn on social media. As always, go read some comics and go subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is at Go Read Some Comics. There's a lot of news this week, so I've been uploading a video practically every single day. I have a video about the DC Studio stuff, breaking it down even further than we did here. Like BD said, it's 18 minutes long. It's the longest video I've done on this channel, and I'm really proud of how it turned out, so go check that out. And then I have a video breaking down the Starfire animated series that they also announced on Monday and the characters that we're going to get in that. And then I just posted a video before we went live about the new Batman relaunch that's coming in September for the comics, because it's going to be perfect, and I'm very excited for it.
Very cool. Jamie, what you got?
A few things. First, we know not to take our phones out in the movie theater, but if you are seeing a musical theater live performance, you should also know not to sing along. I didn't pay hundreds of dollars to see you sing. I paid to see Bernadette Peters sing. So just something that we all should keep in mind in the future. A second thing is that Love in the Time of Hydra is back this week with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. coverage. We've been on hitus for months. Wow. So Sunday, check it out. We are back.
That flew by.
I know. So we don't have an exact time yet because of the Oscars, which I'm going to live tweet the Oscars on Blue Sky. Keep that posted. And then on a somber note, just tragic news today that Michelle Trachtenberg passed away. 39. It's so horrible. If anyone who listens to the show knows that Buffy is my favorite thing on the earth, there's nothing I love more than that show. And if you've never seen it, maybe now is the time to start. If you want to pay tribute to her, go rewatch Harriet the Spy. Something in honor. It's really fucking sad.
Yeah, that's I not to follow that with a bright note, but there's a lot of Lita love in the comment section.
Oh, thank you guys. That's really sweet. Thank you.
I see some people who want to protect Tony, I think.
Yeah.
Aaron, what you got?
Oh gosh, it's at some like cornered all over the old internet. Go watch BD's sit downs with the Daredevil cast. Go watch thank you guys for supporting all the Captain America 4 interviews, man. I love seeing the stuff on that, the Lumbly interview, and of course poor Julius, just as he asked crazy questions left and right, upside down, inside out. And yeah, I have a tease for Tuesday before we go on for Daredevil. I announced it. Might pop it during the show when we enter Hell's Kitchen. So keep it locked.
I'm not overhyping. It's gonna be an interesting show on Tuesday night. There's no live guests, at least not right now, but you'll still want to be there. Thank you everybody for hanging with us. Tuesday night we are live after Daredevil about 10:30 p.m. Eastern time, after maybe 10:40, right after the episodes end, and I think it's probably be about 10:30, 10:40 when we go live. We are moving to Mondays. Please continue leaving 5-star reviews. Go find our merch on phasehero.com. Go subscribe to everybody, follow everybody, do all that stuff, because that helps us, do all this stuff. We got Brad Winderbaum interview just published. Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio published on the YouTube channel. Those will be in podcast form as well by the end of the week, I promise. The directors, Aaron Moorhead and Justin Benson, are probably the next interview I'm going to publish. And then Sana Amanat and Dario Scartapene are also coming to the channel ASAP. So thank you all so much for hanging. Play our show for your dog, play it for your cat, and have yourself a wonderful weekend.